Panther people, what is up? Doesn't coffee taste better in a branded mug? Hey, what's going on? It's Phil Perkins here. You're watching Panthers Post. Thanks for clicking on the link. If you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, get in on that comment community. We are a growing community. We're just shooting up. And before we even get started on this episode, where we're going to be talking about the practices going down in Charlotte right now, with more of the regulars in place just outside Bank of America Stadium, I got to give a shout out to Rashad and Dave from Panthers Nation's podcast, PNP. Those guys are the GOATs when it comes to YouTube and the Carolina Panthers brand. I was there for their live stream on Monday. I said, yeah, I can only talk for about like 30 minutes. I got a kid, wife, dog at home. I got an hour commute. But it turned out I ended up being at work until almost 10 o'clock at night. We were talking for almost an hour and a half straight. It felt like 30 minutes. They are such amazing YouTubers. Their content creation is dope. Their production value is amazing. Rashad with the hotkeys. And they were saying I have an advantage because I'm already in TV, but I don't do the technical stuff, really. I shoot my own thing, as you can see. I edit and I talk a lot of smack. But when it comes to the production value they have going on with the, with what we call the boards, the graphics, putting up commenter or viewer comments live during a live broadcast, it's amazing. The very first episode of Panthers Post, I talked about why I started the channel, and that's because living here in Southern Ontario, it's tough to find Carolina Panther fans to talk about random stuff or just nitty-gritty things like, is Clinton Dix going to make an impact with this defense if they sign him? Is Phil Snow in hot water? Is Sam Darnold going to be a top 10 quarterback? Sorry to laugh. But talking with Rashad and Dave, it just felt like I was at a bar in Charlotte right before a game, or we're very coherent. So it was definitely before a game. After a game, it could be something very different. But again, it was such a natural experience. It was so much fun. Shout out to them again. I did feel that PNP bump. Almost at 800 subscribers. Peanuts compared to what they got going on. But, they gave a lot of wisdom and they set the standard. So I'm going to try to reach that at the best of my ability. So again, thank you to Rashad and Dave. Before we get started, I want to say we're filming this on Father's Day on June the 20th. I am a first-time dad. It is super hype. You could probably hear my kid in the back just yelling off the hook. He's absolutely wild. He's been up since 3 in the morning. I don't know how I'm doing this. Shout out to all the dads. I think Rashad and Dave are dads. Shout out to them. Anyone watching this with your kids. I saw someone in the comment community saying they love this channel because their 10-year-old can watch. Hey, if that's my niche and I'm like the Panthers, Carolina Panthers Nickelodeon host, I am down with that. I saw what they did with some of the playoff games last year. I liked it. If that's my niche, I'll take it. But speaking of those dad mornings, because I'm on the morning shift, 6 a.m. to about 9:30 in the morning, you need your coffee. And it does taste better with a Panthers Post mug. I'm not actually selling these. My brother actually just made me this for my Father's Day gift. So you got the Panthers Post, you got the Carolina Panthers logo. I'd probably get sued if I tried to sell this. But if you want one, might be able to hook it up. Might have to take the Panthers logo out. Just the PP, Panthers Post. For all you day oneers. I know you guys out there. Antoine, I know you're out there since day one. One of the first followers on this group. So I appreciate you. Hit me up in the comments. All right, let's get right to it. Let's head to Charlotte outside Bank of America Stadium and practice. We talk about practice. Pass completions during practice. But hey, it's news because it's the NFL and pressure is on 365, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the regulars are back. Robby Anderson is back. Sam Darnold is learning. J.C. Horn is signed. Taylor Morton is the franchise. And Hassan Reddick agrees with everybody who's been talking about the Panthers in this offseason that this defense has some dogs. Let's start with the fact that these were not OTAs. These were not optional. Thus, the eyes were all on Robby Anderson, wide receiver who is in a contract year. Will he hold out? Will he do something to try to get signed long term? Why wasn't he at these optional team activities? There were reports that the Panthers were allegedly shopping number 11, and then maybe he could be disgruntled. He was holding out. He was pissed off, yada, yada, yada. But he showed up. It's just the NFL offseason. April, May headline type situation. He ended up showing up in Charlotte. We saw him over in the airport. We talked about that in the PNP show last Monday. He's here. He's good to go. And he just wanted to remind the reporters, hey, I'm not no spring chicken. I don't really need, at this point in my career, to show up to optional team activities.
On my 6th year, and then, judging like last year, I feel like I'm like to the point of my career, I know how to get myself ready. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like, nothing against the team or nothing like that. I'm just trying to I feel like capitalize on the time in the off season. I feel like it was like the work I was putting in with my trainer. I was on a good program, you know what I'm saying? I didn't really want to step away from that.
Now, he was working out with his own trainer. Now he's working out with the Panthers staff and a pivot that he knows a lot about in Sam Darnold. And according to Robby Anderson, I don't know if he's got a sixth sense, M. Night Shyamalan, Bruce Willis type situation. I see dead people. I understand he was the dead guy. But who is the kid? I forget the kid's name. But is Robby Anderson that kid? He can see dead people, or in this case, their aura, because he told reporters when he saw Sam, who was his former quarterback with the New York Jets, he just saw something different.
When I walked in the building and just, viewing him, I see like a new energy out of him, like, like a glowing charisma that I didn't really see in New York. And you could just, when a person, like, you can see like a glow on them, their energy, their aura, I can kind of view that when I walked in the building and, just being around them.
If the guy can see an aura, and that aura is Sam Darnold's aura, and he's got that Southern California charm back, he's feeling confident, great. The marketing machine that has been out there, the positive stuff, the positive narratives about Sam as a guy, we get it. He's 24. He would have ranked, according to some of these guys, second in the draft board among some of the rookie quarterbacks coming in this year. We get it. He was in a bad situation with the Jets, and he's going to grow here. But if Robby's a pro, again, he's been in the league for multiple years right now, and if he sees great things, he doesn't have to owe us anything. He could talk coach speak. He could be political. He could be Joe Brady, who talks like a politician. He could do that. But if he's being real, he seems like a real dude. Then if Sam's guy seems like a different guy, sure. All right, let's talk about the aforementioned Sam Darnold. All the praise that I've mentioned, I just spent about 35 seconds talking about. He's got the whiteboard in Panthers Confidential. He's an all-football guy. He's young. According to Robby Anderson, compared to the New York Jets, the Joe Brady system is simpler, less complex, not just for the quarterback, but for everybody else. It looks like Sam still needs to keep that whiteboard with him when he heads back to Southern California. And according to Joe Person from The Athletic, and I know it's practice, cue the Allen Iverson.
We talking about practice.
Sam Darnold didn't seem to have a good practice. According to Joe, he had a ton of tip passes at the line, and that was the issue that has been plaguing him with the New York Jets. Even with a clean pocket, he still wasn't accurate. Hassan Reddick apparently got a deflection, ended up with an INT there, so that's great for him. And it's going to make Sam a better quarterback going up against a defense, which I believe is going to be a top 5, top 7 defense this year in the NFL. So it's going to make him a better quarterback when he faces lesser competition. According to Matt Rule, they made it hard on Sam on purpose. That's how he's going to learn. And it makes sense. You want to go best against best, diamonds cut diamonds, that kind of situation. So that's great. He also mentioned on the more technical side, offensive linemen, and this wasn't a shot at them at all. Like, they were handcuffed at this point. They can't really do their job to the full extent out of safety concerns. No one's really wearing pads at this point. It's still practice. It's not a game.
Not a game. We talking about practice.
So while you got the offensive linemen, they kind of have huge ankle weights on right now. The defensive linemen kind of have free range to do whatever they want. So so maybe it might optically look bad if you want to see that, hey, they're on a field. Sam Darnold has passes, slapped away by defensive linemen. He's trash. Let him go. Just put in P.J. Walker and just wait for Deshaun Watson to figure it out, and then fleece the Texans again. But if Matt Rule says that, he was kind of set up to fail on purpose, this is all just off-season narrative. This is all just blah, blah, blah until game 1 against the Jets. 2% of me is kind of fearful that Sam loses this for the Panthers against his former team, and Zach Wilson lights it up, and the tabloids are going to have fun with that. Sticking with Sam Darnold. Now, I'm not going to get big on this. I'm not going to go too deep. I'm not going to get all science galaxy brain on you guys. But Sam seems to be, before Cole Beasley, seems to be the face of NFL players who were pretty honest to begin with about saying that they still haven't been vaccinated. Whether it's 1 dose or 2 dose, I'm not sure. But they haven't been vaccinated yet. And he kind of walked back from that revelation this past week, saying that, it's a personal decision and he's going to do what's best for him, and he's going to talk about this with his close family and friends. And it is a personal choice. I believe it was New York Governor Andrew Cuomo who said in a presser not too long ago, I'm double vaccinated, you're not. That's not his problem, right? It's the person who is not vaccinated. That's their problem. I think I saw an article that in the States, at least, that 98% of people who have been hospitalized have not been vaccinated. And that would be people like a Sam Darnold, who at this point, according to him, he has not been vaccinated. And that is his personal choice. It 100% is his personal choice. You would assume that if he is unvaccinated and he is around fully vaccinated people, even if Sam Darnold were to get COVID, at the beginning of this vaccination process, it was a selfless act to get vaccinated because you weren't just doing it to protect yourself. The whole idea was you're doing it to protect other people. And I think the vaccination rate in the U.S. is okay. You would assume that the most vulnerable people have been double vaccinated. On the football side, there are privileges of being fully vaccinated, and him not being, if he chooses not to be down the line towards the season, will that affect how he prepares for games? Will he be on a Zoom call? Will he not be allowed in the facilities alone with somebody? I don't know the rules. But so that's that. Now the fire's kind of off him right now because Cole Beasley decided to say a bunch of stuff and he typed it out and he did his thing and now he's the face. So Panther fans just be glad. Panther reporters be glad. You don't have to ask for that anymore. Guy who did have a great practice week apparently was Hassan Reddick, who the Panthers picked up as a free agent from Arizona Cardinals. He's a Temple guy, had a career year last year, and he picked off a tip pass from Sam Darnold for an INT. Again, practice, not going to matter in 10 months from now. But he spoke with the media, and dude seems like a cool and confident cat. Talk about how Sam Darnold's SoCal. Hassan Reddick kind of got that vibe as well. You want to surf, but not really actually surf, just like chill on a board in the water and just like talk about life. But anyways, they talk about his excitement with the team and just how much fun he thinks he's going to be having with this defensive line, with this front seven. Here's what he had to say about that.
To sound cliche, but I do think the sky is the limit here, man. We have a lot of great, young, talented players. And we have some veteran players that that's done a lot of great things in the league. So if we can get the veteran players, to show the younger guys how it's done, then we can bring, get the full potential out of the young guys, and they'll be big assets. I do believe we have a lot of young guys with a lot of talent who can be big assets. Just have to put it all together.
Reporters asked him, you're a veteran. He's still a young dude as well in this league. But how does it feel to go line up with a guy like Brian Burns, who I feel is going to explode? He is putting on weight. He's all healed up from a procedure that he had. He looks hungry. He looks excited. He looks happy to be there. And again, top that with just being young and freakishly athletic and long. And he loves Spider-Man. Those two together are going to be a power couple. Benifer has got nothing on that.
I think it's special, man. When you look at the talent between me and him, it should be scary, and it's nothing to take lightly, and it's crazy because I look at him and I say, the edge. I feel like on the edge we're going to be good, but then you also look at the interior, man, and the talent that's there. So I would definitely be worried, if I was other offenses, because we got some guys that's going to go out there and get it. As a front seven and across the D-line, we got some guys that's, some dogs.
Since I'm here filming this episode on Father's Day, let's talk about the top 5 Panther dads. Number 5, Coach Matt Rule. Not only is he kind of like a father figure for 53-plus men and their families, he chooses whether or not to end a guy's career or continue his career. And so he's a father figure in that sense, but on a literal sense, as a dad, during his introductory press conference after Tepper kind of pitched the job as the head coach for the Panthers, and his son, apparently a Christian McCaffrey fan, was like, "Are you going to take the job?" And Matt Rule told him that he's going to think about it, he's going to weigh his options, and his kid, did what kids do and threw a hissy fit, got pissed. He's like, "Dad, come on now." And as a good dad, that's what you do. It's your family, your wife and your kids first, and you second. The fourth best dad in Panthers history gotta be Thomas Davis. Not only is he a dad on the field by taking guys like Luke Kuechly under his wing, helping him becoming most likely a first ballot Hall of Famer, he was also kind of like that father figure with Cam Newton, kind of that cool dad who could still beat you up even if he's in his 40s or 50s. But also, he seems to be a family man at home. Like, if you look at his retirement ceremony, his whole family rolled up, and he's always with his family. He's playing cards, playing Uno. I think his eldest son or one of his sons seems to be doing pretty well in the game of football itself, and who better to coach you up in that game, especially if he's playing linebacker, than your Hall of Fame, potentially Wall of Honor with the Panthers dad in Thomas Davis. Third most dadly dad for the Panthers, either past or present, tight end Greg Olsen. I don't know, really, he should be number one, but there are other stupid reasons why I chose my number 1 and 2. But Greg Olsen, if there was somebody who I could emulate to try to be as a dad, whether it's what he does on the field and how he provides for his family, but also how he's there, when he's not playing, and how he makes his family his priority, especially when it came to his son TJ. But not only physically being there for him, I'm sure he's had vulnerable moments on his own, but the fact that he is so positive and he's so enthusiastic, and he doesn't make his son feel like he's a victim of anything. And he makes him feel that he's not different from anybody else, that he could do whatever he wants. He can continue to play baseball. And there's a video of him after he received his full heart transplant that, just the encouragement you're hearing with Greg. You don't even see Greg, but you hear his voice from behind the phone, just encouraging TJ to go ring the bell, let him know that he's doing great and he's moving on. He's going to go back home. It brings a tear to your eye. Number 2, best dad in Panthers history, Cam Newton. Why? Because he made everyone look like a kid, a baby. I remember vividly the first time I saw Cam Newton live was in Seattle, 2015, the year that they beat them with our number 3 best dad of all time in Panthers history, Greg Olsen catching the over-the-shoulder catch to eventually win the game. I saw Cam Newton trot out, and I'm like, okay, this guy's gigantic. He then trotted out to the other end of the field, and he was wearing his Nike Pro, super tight, and I could still see the different muscles in his back, as if he was right in front of me. And then I saw him stand next to Russell Wilson, who is like 5'10", maybe 6 feet, maybe. I thought Cam, when he shook his hand, I thought he was saying hi to a fan. But then I was like, oh snap, that's a starting quarterback in the NFL as well. And Cam made him look like a child. Number 1 best dad of all time in Panthers history is Mr. Ice Up Son himself, Steve Smith, Agent 89. It is the most dad thing in the world to just make up your own phrase and just make up words that you think might be cool. And Steve Smith did that after a game, after beasting some dudes, and it still became cool, and we still talk about it. And especially if he says Ice Up Son, because he made every DB his child. He made them his son, and he was taking them to school. Mainly, Steve Smith is my number 1 most dadly dad of all time for the Panthers because he just messes people up on a regular basis, like most dads do. Dad strength style. Even towards the end of his career, when he was with the Baltimore Ravens, he was destroying people, including the Panthers. # blood and guts. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, community yourself up, get educated like I do every single time someone says something. It is super duper positive. And also spread the word. Let people know. Roaring Riot people, come on down. Thanks so much. Also make sure to follow us on Twitter @PanthersPost. Number 1, like Killer Cam. I appreciate you guys. See you next week.